Hey guys. Um, okay. I know actually, good morning. I woke up today and felt the need to, I've had a really productive morning and it's, I feel joyful about that. And so I wanted to take the time to share a few books that have really impacted my life in the past 2 years. Mainly this year. Some of these books I haven't finished yet, but majority of them I have read them, and I've repurchased a few of them. So I figured I should share with y'all for whoever wants to join in on the adventure. So the first book I read last year that I actually, let me not, that I felt like repurchasing was called The Compound Effect. First time I read this book, I don't know if it was an eye opener or it felt like oxygen that fueled the fire that I already had. Like I felt like I needed, it was like a boost. It was a boost that I needed. And rereading this book just really like reprogrammed my mind and gave me the courage and I needed to follow through with the plans that I had at that time. I loved this book so much that I gave it away to one of my friends, and I really hope that she enjoyed it or like maybe received some clarity from it. But I ended up giving her that book, and my brother had purchased it again, and so I asked him if I could read it. I started reading it, I'm halfway through it. I'm kind of reading in portions because now I'm reading it, I'm taking in what it is I need for this season. So maybe the first half of the book applies to me in this season, whereas the next half will apply to me in the next season. So I'm just kind of reading in reference to what's important in my life right now. The next book I repurchased that I read last year is called Inner Engineering, The Yogi's Guide to Joy. I love this book, and I love how it starts. It's such a like free-spirited humor, and it's packed with so much like spiritual insights, or maybe I was receiving it in a very insightful, in a very spiritual way. I'm not really sure how to put it that way, but I loved this book. I swallowed this book as quickly as I could. The first time I got it was at our local library here, and I literally, I would be on break at work reading this book. I would come home and spend time reading this book. I was at the pool, and instead of enjoying the pool and the company I was with, I was reading this book. That's how much I loved this book. I did take some of the insights into practice. It does talk about mantras and meditation if you're into that sort of spiritual practice. However, I didn't really implement them as deeply as I wanted to. And so I'm rereading it again, hoping to see, maybe gain a new perspective from it or a new insight, or maybe just reminders of what was so impactful at the time when I read it. The last book that I repurchased was Women Who Run with the Wolves. This book is dear. Like, oh my God. The first time I read this book, I wish you would see my first copy. There was highlights and annotations everywhere, questions all over the book. I didn't even feel comfortable giving the book away. I gave my first book away to somebody because I felt like they needed to, a part of them just needed to hear what was in this book and to be seen in a certain light. Well, for them to look in the mirror and actually see themselves in a certain way. And so I gave it away to a young girl, and I hope she gains what she gains from it. I was obsessed with it. This book is kind of a long book. It's about 500 plus pages, almost 600. But if you just break it up into chapters or each myth and stories and kind of dissect that. Also, I think this book was well written and executed. Any questions I felt like I had were already answered. Um, and it was more, this book kind of guided me inward. So I really loved this book. And so I bought it again because I do want this book in my library. And I'm kind of hoping that the people in my life, I want to build a library for me, but it's also for the people in my life that when they are seeking some sort of guidance, reassurance, or whatever it is that they need, that they can come to my library and grab something that resonates with them. And so this is definitely one of the books I want to keep, and I want every woman to come across it and to find and take what it is that they need from it, because I definitely cried like every chapter. It's kind of embarrassing. Now, one of the books okay, so this book, I was on Pinterest scrolling, and I was just clicking on different books, reading the titles, the descriptions, and some of the comments that people had on them. And I kind of scammed. Okay. And then I ended up on this book, and I was like, that is interesting. That looks like an interesting topic. I don't even know what prompted me. I felt like I was guided to this book because I saw the photo of it. I read the title. I searched up the title on Google, and there was a free PDF version, and I believe it was of chapter 8 through 10, or maybe just chapter 8 and 9. And I read chapter 8, and I was like, like, this is definitely in alignment with the way I think and perceive things. And so I literally ran to, I think it was Amazon. Yeah, I ordered it from Amazon for like $8. And this is called The Spirit of Intimacy. I don't know if this would resonate with everyone, but it definitely resonated with me. And at the end of the book, it basically thanks the reader, thanks whoever. I think it thanks the reader. Okay, let me. And my little niece had came into my room, and of all the books she could have grabbed, this book, I think it was kind of hidden in the pile of the rest of the books. She went and grabbed this book, and she was flipping through the pages. She can't read yet. But she was just flipping through the pages, and I just remember how the book ended, talking about how it felt like the spirit guided you to this book, and how they thanked you for reading this book. And so when she grabbed the book and was flipping through the pages, I was so enamored. I don't know, I was in awe, because it's like, I wonder if you're guided to this book. And hopefully in the future, whenever you need it, that the reference will always be here. The next book that I have yet to finish, it's kind of a difficult read for me, but I love Carl Jung. And so, I'm still in the process of getting to learn Carl Jung and his writings and his interviews. So there's a lot of things that I've heard about him, or his interviews that I've listened to, especially like The Dark Night of the Soul, that conversation. I heard that one, not read it. And so I'm very intrigued by him. And so I bought this book, and it's called Boundaries of the Soul. Now, I think this is an intro to psychology book, so any psychology majors out there will definitely know of this book. I'm only 60 pages in, and I think the reason I'm having a hard time with this book, it's not necessarily the words of the book, but I'm having a hard time understanding the concept of it. Like, I'm reading it, but it feels like I'm glossing over it. And so there's a lot that I have to reread, but at the same time, I'm trying to understand what it is that I'm reading. So maybe I need to give myself grace and just kind of read through the book the first time. And the second time when I come back to it, read to understand, or to learn more about it. And the last book that I really like, and this book I haven't finished yet, but I'm reading in increments with wherever it is I'm at, and whatever it is I need to receive from it. and it's called Feeling Good. This book kind of talks about like depression and those types of mental health experiences, and so it's a well-written book, with, honestly, I think let me see, but it was written by a medical doctor, and so I'm gonna have to reread this book. But I know it just talks about ways to kind of feel better without all the drug therapies that are being offered to us. So yeah, those are all the books that I have fallen in love with. Again, this one's Inner Engineering, The Yogi's Guide to Joy. We've got Feeling Good. We've got The Spirit of Intimacy. We've got Boundaries of the Soul. The Compound Effect. And lastly, Women Who Run with the Wolves. So there's a wide range of topics here. Pick whatever resonates with you, and I hope you receive whatever it is you need to receive at that time. So, bye.